What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down what's happening to the share price right now and what's likely going to happen for tomorrow, what Elon Musk just said on the latest earnings call. I'm going to actually summarize a lot of his points and also talk about the news, data, and technicals affecting Tesla and how it could move for tomorrow alongside the collective market. But before I break anything down about Tesla, before I get into any more details about the earnings call and what just happened, what's going on with the share price, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 5 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Tesla's currently down 5.6% at the time I'm recording this during the after hours. It's down $10. It is actually dropping pretty hard, very close to the support zone between 170 and 168. Now, as Tesla was dropping from close, it was actually at 180 during close. The next major support should have been 176, but Tesla actually broke below that, and we're currently trading very close to 170 flat. Now, for tomorrow, I do anticipate that we could see some bulls try to defend their positions, but it's not going to be very strong, unfortunately. The momentum is heavily favoring the downside now, and I believe the shorts are going to start piling in after what we just saw from Tesla. And on top of that, if 168 does not hold for Tesla, there is some support at 165. It's not extremely strong, though. The next major support is going to be around 163. So make sure you guys are prepared for this, for more potential downside and a downtrend. Even in the markets, I do believe SPY and QQQ could be affected by this too, because Tesla is a giant and it does actually affect many different sectors out there. But the real question is, what actually happened? What did Elon Musk say? So I'm going to start off by talking about Elon Musk. He basically opened up the call just by thanking everyone for being there. He did actually talk about the success of the Model Y, despite the fact that there were some delivery issues going forward. He also mentioned the fact that the current macro environment is actually very uncertain, and despite that, they still have very high expectations for the Cybertruck. The alpha version is still being built, basically. They're actually still planning a delivery event for Q3 of 2023. Now, on top of that, they're still actually working on the dojo. Once again, it's going to become a service for other companies too, potentially. That's also very, very good news for the longer term. He thanked more employees going forward. Then Elon Musk said, and I quote, "We do our best to evaluate production output and macroeconomic conditions." Then he clarified that there will be bigger in auto. He says that it will be bigger in auto in gigawatt hours, not necessarily revenues. He's talking about Tesla Energy. That's very, very important. He also mentioned the fact that they're seeing faster growth for stationary storage than vehicle sales. And once again, battery storage is actually growing for them. Going down, I think Zach, who was also there, was talking about how their margins, once again, are actually being affected. They're aiming at mid 20% margins on everything they do, but they're not actually meeting all of those as of right now. Now, this could change going forward, but for now, Elon Musk is reiterating that there are macroeconomic factors that are negatively affecting Tesla, but he does want to assure us that the future is still very bright for the company. Thanks to the Cybertruck, he did stress how amazing it's going to be, and also how Tesla is going to continue to grow, as Teslas have the potential to become assets thanks to autonomy and other factors like that. They did also talk more about commodities, how they're going to likely drop going forward, and how Tesla will be working on side efforts to help bring up production and mining for particular minerals. Now, Elon Musk also mentioned the fact that right here, like I said before, lithium prices have dropped. Commodity prices are expected to drop by the end of the year. And for the Cybertruck, there are actually more orders than the amount of cars that are actually going to be produced. So very, very awesome for the Cybertruck. However, deliveries are not expected to start until like Q3, so we have quite a while for it. Once again, that's not actually impacting it too much for the shorter term. Now, Elon Musk also mentioned that there's enormous value in autonomous vehicles. He does not have a crystal ball to actually predict battery commodity prices. And he also mentioned that macroeconomic factors could be very tricky. Once again, the Fed rates, which he said are technically responsible or at least playing a role in cutting prices for Tesla, and then economic uncertainty. He also mentioned the fact that Dojo is a long shot bet that could actually play that could actually pay off in a very, very big way going forward. And I do agree with him there. And on top of that, they're working very hard on scaling, at least in different sectors, and also when it comes to the production of the Cybertruck, it's going to resemble like an S curve. There are going to be some slowdowns going forward, but then they're going to accelerate as time goes on. And overall, it's doing very well. He also mentioned the facts that the Federal Reserve is actually playing a big role in the slowdown we're seeing. And also, their margins could be affected for more quarters to come, unfortunately. That's what Zach actually said. And he also mentioned, or at least Elon Musk, that affordability is the main factor for Tesla, and they are working on making cars more affordable going forward, but they didn't actually release any new products or anything like that just yet. Now, basically, Elon Musk also mentioned the fact that Tesla wants all of the EVs to succeed. They're not trying to destroy competitors. They did, excuse me, sorry guys. They did actually give away their patents. Once again, they allowed other competitors to see them, and they did that as a result to actually help accelerate the growth in the EV sector. They did mention the fact that there are still economic hardships, but Tesla's continuing to grow. And despite all the pain, the future is still very, very bright going forward. So I basically summarized the large majority of what was said by Elon Musk. I just want to note, guys, that there wasn't really a whole lot said that was super, super novel and new that can actually help Tesla big time during a time like this for the super, super short term in terms of price action. And I was really hoping that something could get announced. If you wanted any hope for Tesla to rebound, we didn't really get it. So because of that, like I said, Tesla is going to continue to sell off most likely because their earnings were, for some sectors, they were okay and actually quite good, but for many other ones, they were not too good looking, especially their margins. And then we also were hit with more not bullish, bearish news that just came out. I'm going to talk about that in a couple of seconds. For tomorrow, just remember, we also have initial jobless claims for the market. We want this number to be hot. If it's too low, the market's not going to like it. If it's hot or very high, above 240,000, the market will like it. We also have a lot of Fed speakers tomorrow. So once again, not necessarily always the best thing for the markets. We have a bunch of them as the hours pass by during the open market hours. So make sure you're ready for some Fed speakers when they speak. The market tends to slow down. And for earnings, IBM actually did quite well. They did okay. But overall, they did not meet expectations on everything. And Tesla's expectations are not just based off the expectations set previously, but it's expected to beat expectations, right? That's kind of funny, but that's the crazy thing about Tesla, very high expectations. And it's typically expected to beat and beat and beat. And if it just barely misses by like a penny on EPS, right, that could play a big role in its selling off. So make sure you're ready for what's about to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow we also have Rite Aid, AT&T, Nokia, and other pretty big earnings, not as big as today. Now, when it comes to Tesla, we were hit with more bearish news, unfortunately. Reuters has actually reported that Tesla is going to be cutting prices in the US for the sixth time this year ahead of the quarterly results. This is once again not good news. I've been talking about how demand seems to be slowing down for these Teslas. When you look at the total US inventory listings, the inventory just goes up and up and up and up. Now, is this because of production? To some degree, yes. But for the most part, I don't believe it's just production. As Elon Musk reiterated, there is going to be a demand disruption that is still continuing as the Fed continues to raise rates. All right. So now we're seeing less demand for Teslas and cars in general in this economy. The inventory levels are now around like 606. Just a couple days ago, they were at 501. So they're increasing like crazy. In just a few days, we saw another 100 plus increase. Very, very crazy stuff. And not good for Tesla. I'm going to be a little bit concerned or apprehensive approaching Q2 for Tesla because they're likely not going to give us the best deliveries compared to production. Yes, I'm very confident in production. Production is going to be fine for them, but deliveries are not going to be as high. There's probably going to be a big difference between production and deliveries. And to actually improve the situation, as Elon Musk mentioned, Tesla has been cutting prices. They're likely going to continue to cut prices, and they continue to do this for many important reasons. So, anyways, when it comes to another very important piece of news, uh, Tesla was cutting their prices, and on top of that, earnings were just not meeting every single expectation. And the shorts are just going to take advantage of this, unfortunately. Now, when it comes to the summary of their financial sector, I just want to note Tesla noted some very important things. They have an 11.4% operating margin for Q1, not the best of what we wanted. This is actually different from what Zach was trying to say. And once again, I mean, I'm still very confident in Tesla's future to improve their margins, but for now, this could become more concerning going forward. We saw net income actually at one of the lowest levels we've seen in a long time. I think it's down 20 plus percent from the previous year, unfortunately. And Tesla mentioned, and this is what's so important about this, in the current macroeconomic environment, right? We see this year as a unique opportunity for Tesla as many car makers are working through the challenges with the unit economists of the EV programs, we aim to actually leverage our positions as a cost leader. They're focusing on rapidly growing production, investments in autonomy, and vehicle software. And the list just goes on for growing their investments. However, they mentioned that there have been a lot of these price reductions on many of their different models. Unfortunately, this is going to continue to actually hurt their margins, hurt their profitability, and this is leading to some concerns from more investors. Despite that, their operating cash flow is at $2.5 billion, which is still not horrible overall. And the Cybertruck is going to be very, very bullish news going forward later on for the year. But until then, there could be some downside coming for Tesla stock. Now, the Cybertruck is also going to be coming out very soon. They have some alpha versions basically already in production. They're already working on them. However, the best selling vehicle in Europe for Q1 was the Model Y. Also, it's the best selling vehicle in the US in Q1 for EV pickups, basically, when you're excluding them. So, once again, very awesome for Tesla's long term future. For the short term, looking at the financial sector, you could see right here their total automotive revenues right here. We actually saw a bit of a decrease compared to Q4, and it's actually very close to the levels from Q3 of 2022. Year over year, we're still up 18%, so not too horrible. Energy generation and storage revenue, this is also growing quite nicely, up 148%. This is once again very, very bullish news going forward. And this is in the billions, by the way. I know I just said the thousands. I know this is in the billions. I just wanted to make this more clear. Services are up 44%. We did see their total revenue up 24%. Their gross profit, the total gross profit is actually down 17%. Not good, guys. That's not very good in my opinion. Income from operations is actually down 26%. Not too good either. Uh, Besides that, we are seeing not too much good data going forward. Their EPS is down 23%. Net cash also down. Capital expenditures is up 17%. Free cash flow is down 80%. That's not good. Wow. Wow, that's just insane. Now, despite all of this, there has been some growth in revenue, growth in other parts of the business, but some reduced ASP and also year over year for the FX impact. Profitability, some things went up, other things not as much. Higher raw materials, commodity, and logistics are very important to note. And the cost of production for the 4680 cells, once again, it has been going down, but once again, it is actually decreasing the profitability overall. Total production, yes, production is still great for Tesla, but like I said, we're entering a recession and it's just not good to see things like this happening. Our best region for producing cars is Shanghai. The second best is going to be in California. And the third best is currently, I believe it's supposed to be in Berlin, and then like Texas comes after that. Uh, Once again, there's still a lot of growth right here in terms of production, especially in the US and also China. But once again, growth alone is not going to just help Tesla for the immediate term. There's still a lot of progress being made for FSD. I'm still very bullish for it. And there's still a lot of work to be done, as Elon Musk mentioned. Energy storage is growing like crazy. Other services are actually seeing some increases for energy storage and solar. But other than that, that's basically the gist of everything. We have some pictures here from Tesla and the factories. People are working on the Cybertruck right there. And the factories are very advanced and very awesome. I'm still very impressed in the company. But like I said before, not everything we saw was the best. Net income and earnings dropped more than 20% from last year, unfortunately. And EPS was 85 cents, which is actually very close to expectations of 85 to 86%. 86 EPS, sorry guys. Revenue at $23.33 billion versus $23.21 billion expected. Overall, these sectors were not that bad, but looking at this with more details, especially the margins being a lot lower than what Wall Street actually wanted, that is bad news for Tesla investors. That's bad news for Tesla, unfortunately. Volume in these like technicals don't really matter as much because 124 million in volume is still very close. We might get a high volume tomorrow with lots of selling, unfortunately. And we're probably going to see an increase in the short volume. And I believe we're going to see more shorting going on. A lot of these pieces of data don't matter as much for tomorrow. We're likely going to see more shorting for Tesla. Unfortunately, shorts are likely going to try to pile in and start attacking the stock as they typically do. So what does this mean for the share price? Unfortunately, we're going to likely gap down tomorrow. Now, when we gap down, could we try to bounce a little bit? It is a possibility, but like I said, unfortunately, the bounce is probably not going to be strong, and we're likely going to see more downwards pressure actually overturn any attempts by the bulls tomorrow. It's very unfortunate, and we're likely going to see a sell-off tomorrow. I mean, we just did not get the strong earnings I wanted. Also, it's important to note that Tesla had opportunities to actually do a better job during the earnings call. It's just that the questions being asked were not the best, in my opinion. And with that said, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say at this point. If we try to turn bullish, I mean, we're currently, at the time I'm recording this, around like the 170 area. We'll see where Tesla opens because typically we sell off a lot more than we try to rebound a little bit by the time we open tomorrow. But it could just be a small rebound back to like the mid 170s. I don't really see it being that strong. And could we just try to pump? I don't really see that happening. I just think that Tesla's going to look very weak tomorrow. And we're just going to have to watch important support and resistance levels. Now Tesla's currently at 170. If this thing wants to pump, we're going to have to fight resistance at 172.5, 174.5, and then we have the 176 resistance because previous support becomes resistance. And above that comes 180. I don't really see Tesla going that high, by the way. I just want to note these resistance levels. We could reject off many of these, especially 176. That was very strong support, which is likely going to become strong resistance. And if we reject off of it, then these lines become support as well. So let's just say Tesla's at 176. If it starts coming down, watch 174.5. Then you have to watch the 172 to 170 zone. There's also 168, which has been some decent support. If that fails, I'm going to be watching 165. It tends to not be that strong, though. 165 is not very strong support, but I do believe Tesla could test that if it does break below the low we have so far. And then the next major support is going to be around 163. There is a chance Tesla could come all the way down there if it does continue to sell off going forward. Why? Because their net revenue is just not looking that great. Tesla did not really blow us away, and Elon Musk made it clear that what's happening to Tesla is out of their control. They are forced to cut prices because of what's happening with the Fed raising rates. The macroeconomic factors are hurting them, and there's not much Tesla could do about it. So once again, guys, I'm sorry. It is what it is. We as investors have to be prepared for this. It's part of investing in a stock. There will be periods where any stock has hardships. There are no stocks that just go up forever. This is just part of the game. And I see this as an opportunity. Because yes, there's likely downside to come in the future, but this is an opportunity to start buying these dips again and again. Just remember that when you buy a dip, and this is not financial advice, when you buy a dip, you should not go all in on buying the dip because a stock that falls could always fall lower. A stock that rises could always go higher too. What I mean by that is if you start buying these dips and you just try to buy it like, I don't know, for example, let's just go over an example. If Tesla was at 200 before and it comes all the way down, or it came all the way down to like 178, you could have bought the dip, but if you had gone all in right here, this thing would have just kept on tanking. So you would have actually not have gotten a good buy-in price. But what you could have done is just bought a little bit here, maybe bought, a dozen shares or like 100 shares, however much money you have designated to doing this. Then you watch this thing bounce and it comes down even lower and you just buy you know, another 100 shares, another 10 shares, whatever, however many shares. And you just keep buying little by little by little as it drops more and more. And you always keep cash on the side to buy lots of dips in the markets, because then your average is just going to continue to drop. And you don't have to worry about how low Tesla goes. You can just keep buying and buying and buying. Your average will keep going down. And then when it recovers, right, it's going to be an absolute blessing. I do believe that Tesla will break all-time highs again. I do believe Tesla is going to recover to many hundreds a share, to $300-400 a share within 2 years, within maybe even 1.5 years from now. And I still see so much potential in this company, especially because of the fact that the Cybertruck will be coming out very soon and very big events and announcements. I also want to note that Tesla will announce new models in the future. There's so much growth, guys. Do not see this as the end of the world. It's just another opportunity. And it's very important to be as optimistic as possible. Now, what does this all mean for the overall market? If Tesla starts dumping, this could actually lead to some downwards pressure for SPY. If it actually continues to break down, I'm going to be watching this 412 support to see how SPY tries to hold it. If it fails, there's 411.5. 411 flat, and then below that we have 409, and then there's a gap fill even below that. I don't really think SPY and QQQ will crash too hard just yet. SPY does have technically a bearish divergence that has developed. Let me just show you what it looks like. When you look at the bearish divergence, yes, it's developing, but there's no clear sign of it actually crashing yet. My best prediction for SPY is this. It's either about to start downtrending, right, getting the big pullback, or it might pump a little bit more to this like 418 to 420 level maybe by next week. It is still a possibility, and then we get the big pullback. It's got to be one of those two most likely. But I just want to note that we have about 3 million puts expiring for Friday, with the put to call ratio being over 3. And what's happening is a lot of the shorts might try to smack the market down. They might try to hurt SPY and the QQQ. It actually works in their favor to do so. So I expect a very big fight by Thursday, if not Friday, especially on Friday. And there is a chance that we could get closer to max pan at 403. I think it's actually around 403 or 404. So we could see some downside. We could see the market cool off a bit tomorrow because of Tesla. It's likely going to lead the way. But once again, I mean, Tesla is likely going to underperform compared to SPY and QQQ just temporarily for the next few days. We'll see how they actually respond to support and resistance, and also based off earnings, and also based off the initial jobless claims coming out. And until then, please be ready for SPY. I just want to note something else, that's that the VIX has a bullish divergence on many different time frames, on the 30-minute and etc. But the problem is it's still developing, so I don't truly know if the VIX is just going to try to bounce from here. It looks like it wants to bounce off 16, might try to bounce a little bit, or if it's going to eventually come lower and then it gets the real reversal later on. The VIX is telling us that the stock market is most likely going to see a little downside. I don't know if the market will just end up rebounding and pushing more before the bigger drop comes, or it could just start tanking very soon. It's got to be one of those two. Once again, the market might pump a little more and then tank, or it might just tank at where we're currently at. It's got to be one of those two most likely. SPY and QQQ are not showing us true signs of them crashing yet. There's no confirmation of it. So we'll just have to wait and see how they move. But once we see the data tell us what's about to happen, the trend is going to become a lot more clear. The last thing I'm going to talk about before I end this video, I know it's kind of long, would be the QQQ and then the dollar. The QQQ, it's going to likely see downside if Tesla does sell off, which it most likely will. The next support is going to be this 318 flat area, then 316. If 316 fails, the QQQ is going to end up retesting gap support around 315. That's very close to the 200 EMA on the 30-minute time frame. If it fails, If it breaks below this support, it's going to come down to fill this gap at 312. So it could have some downside, and Tesla could be leading the way. There's also a possible head and shoulders structure developing here, which could actually bring it down to the 310 zone. Right? Tesla could lead the way. It's a real possibility, so make sure you are prepared for that just in case. If it somehow turns bullish, which I really doubt, we're going to be watching resistance at 320 to 321. Once again, I really doubt that's going to happen. It could just chop around a bit and just continue to sell off. Uh, until then, just become very, very patient with the markets. The 10-year treasury yield is continuing to rise up. That tends to be bearish for the stock market. It's actually continuing to respect an uptrend on the bigger time frames like the hourly or the 4-hour. Because it's looking bullish, that is another bearish signal. But we do have a possible bearish divergence developing simultaneously. So yes, it looks bullish going forward for like the overall trend. It might pull back a little bit, maybe by Friday or so. It could just pull back a little bit to fill this gap. But overall, it looks to me like the trend is still in favor of upside for this, the overall trend. And there is likely downside coming to the overall market. It may take a few weeks until the real, like, bigger pullback comes, the real, like, crash people want to talk about. But like I said, right now, there's not confirmation of it, and we just have to be patient. All right, the dollar is still trading sideways, not a whole lot happening yet. We'll see how this actually goes. It's only up 0.19%, just below 102. Once again, not really doing too much, going back and forth and back and forth. We'll wait and see. Until then, Tesla's now down 6%. We'll see how this thing actually moves. Expect lots of volatility, a big move tomorrow, and most likely a big sell-off. All right, does not worry me, does not scare me whatsoever. I'm simply going to buy the dips as it drops. I'm going to dollar cost average, and I'm going to remain as patient as possible. I also want to note that be prepared for more FUD and more negative news about Tesla. The media likes to take advantage of moments like this, and just please do what you have to do. But anyways, I thank you all for listening. The last thing is I have some merch either above or below the comment section if you guys are interested in getting it. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Tesla to the moon, because the long term, the super long term, is still very, very bright for this company despite the short term fluctuations. Thank you and peace out.